This is a hip hinge drill in an all fours position. What we're really trying to do is get those proximal hamstrings on, the hamstrings kind of in that lower part right below the butt cheek, which help control the position of our pelvis. So we're getting those proximal hamstrings on, we're kind of lengthening and opening the booty, kind of getting our ribs in a good position and getting some back expansion, keeping our sternum up. You'll see when we get there, but ultimately this drill is going to allow us to get into a better hinge because we are practicing all of the mechanics and the checklist of things we need in the hinge, but in a more supportive position. So you're starting in that bear position. So that just simply means on all fours. A couple things as we're setting up in this position, watching that we're not kind of sagging down here, actively press through the hands so we're not hanging on our joints. In this position, I'm going to actively thinking about pulling the balls of my feet up the wall. So that is going to light up the back side of my legs, those hamstrings. Ideally, we want to start feeling those proximal hamstrings, so those hamstrings kind of right below the booty cheek. And what we can do is press actively through the hands, and we can think about coming and arching into that more anterior tilt. We can think about coming into that kind of tucked under position, posterior tilt, and then kind of finding that more neutral position. So kind of right in the middle. And you'll find that if you can kind of get into that little bit more of that neutral range position with the pelvis, you're going to start to feel those proximal hamstrings a little bit more. And if you're struggling, don't worry, this just takes time and practice. So actively press through the hands. I'm dragging up on the balls of the feet to feel those proximal hamstrings, and I'm going to keep my chest elevated. So we want to make sure that we don't arch through the chest and kind of drop down, but actively press through the hands, stay active in the upper body, pull up on the balls of the feet to get those proximal hamstrings. And all I'm going to think about doing is inhaling as I go back, trying to think about the sits bones literally spreading apart on the backside. You can give yourself a little wedgie pick if it helps, just to think about that neutral pelvis position. Remember, we tucked, we untucked, we found that middle ground, and those sits bones literally spreading together apart, on the backside as we inhale back, keeping that hamstring tension active through the upper body, and exhale, come forward. We can take a breath just to reset and check our rib position. So inhale, and then when we exhale, those ribs, kind of breathing the ribs back in space, but without dropping the chest. So mention keeping that sternum elevated. So we got that good position with the ribs, pulling up on the balls of the feet, and now we're going to inhale back. Sits bones open, exhale, come forward. Keep that active press to the upper body. Inhale, pull up on the balls of the feet. Exhale. We'll do one more. As you inhale back, you feel that pelvic floor kind of lengthen, sits bones opening. So this is your all fours hinge prep drill, kind of feeling those proximal hamstrings, getting those ribs back, sternum stays lifted, staying active through the upper body so we get some of that backside expansion as we feel the length of the booty travel behind us, and then we come back. So give this a whirl, connect with those hamstrings, connect with your body position, and then we'll see how that translates to a deadlift position.